Okay. So thank you everyone for joining. As Stan mentioned, today we'll be looking at FinancialForce revenue management package, exploring its basic architecture and application in the form of two applications. The goal of this webinar is to demonstrate the ease with which you can set up revenue management and the flexibility of the package. And within this flexibility lies the power of revenue management to be able to handle complex recognition models. So onwards to the agenda, we'll start looking at the setup of revenue management. This is the technical back end of it. Then we'll go through its application through two examples. And of course, as Tan mentioned, if you have any questions, please type them in so that we can pick them up at the end. A little bit about myself. So that's me, still with the pre-COVID glow. I'm a consultant with Cloudteam company focusing on financial management packages. My academic background is in finance and international business. Before I joined Cloudteam about 5 years ago, I was a user of FinancialForce for approximately 4 years. So, starting with the setup, there are actually two types of setup that needs to be done for revenue management. The first type is connecting the source objects for RevRec with revenue management objects. So if your source objects are FinancialForce objects such as sales invoice, billing contracts, or projects, then this is provided to you or this is done for you during the installation. If you use custom objects, your system admin can set these up. They are very easy to do and very well documented, so we're going to skip that. The second type of setup is a mapping of the fields, identifying for the package which information to take from which field. So this is done on the recognition setting object. We'll look at it in a minute. But again, if you are using your FinancialForce objects for recognition, then these are done for you and provided for you out of the box. So this is where we jump into the system. So I am looking at a recognition setting. So this is the mapping that I was mentioning earlier. I'm looking at a contract line item mapping. What I've done here is define the standard description, start and end date, what is the trigger for enabling recognition on a contract line item. Similarly, I've done it for the milestone. Go to the setting. So as before, I was specified where to take the amount from. For example, I can also specify a field where the cumulative amount that has been recognized can be populated by the system automatically, and a similar setting for the expense. So once we do the mapping, we have to choose the recognition model. And we do that through what is called recognition templates. As you can see, my expense setting has one template. My milestone has multiple ones. So what I've done is provided the mapping in one setting and using it in different templates or different recognition models. So looking at one of these templates, so what I've done here is reference the settings, so the mapping, where the fields or information should come from. And I have specified that this template should recognize based on percentage complete. So what that means is that I have indicated a field where I would populate a percentage of revenue that can be recognized. This field can be manually populated or it can be automated through a calculation of such a formula. Apart from the percentage complete, you also have the other types of models which are equal split, where I specify a start and end date, and the revenue is evenly split between these dates. I can also choose deliverable type of recognition, where once I set a flag for recognition, the record becomes available for recognition. Now, um, the last bit of setup needed to do your recognition is to populate this template on your source record. So we'll start now with the first example. I'm looking at a billing contract. So consider a order of a customer buying a laptop where I've specified the unit price, the quantity, and so on. And now the delivery of this product was made on the order date, so the start and date and end date remains the same. The delivery period remains the same. The customer has also bought a license for a software subscription, who I have billed 750 for a year. So the start and end date is obviously then 1 year. Further to the right, I have associated these contract lines with a revenue recognition template. So the ones that we were looking at. Now, you might notice that I have selected different types of recognition templates for them because they require different types of recognition. And now we're going to start with what the user has to do at the period close. So you're going to notice how quick and easy it is, how it reduces and simplifies your period close processes. What I have to do is go to the recognize revenue interface. So what I will do on this interface is select my source object for recognition, which is the billing contract. I will specify my reference date. So for example, end of this month, or maybe the last date of the previous period. I will select the currency and I will click on generate data. Sorry, that was project. So this is 30th of September for the billing contract. So the transactions are available for recognition. They have been grouped under this company, under the company. If I want to see the breakdown of this amount, I can click on this icon. And it shows me the contract base off of which this amount is being prompted for recognition. I can further drill down to see the contract lines, and I can see the description of the products, underlying products. As you can see, it displays here the total revenue per contract and per line, what had been previously recognized. So we have not recognized anything for this contract, therefore it's showing 0. But what would be available for recognition on this reference date. So if I change this reference date, the amounts will be different. And all I need to do in order to create my recognition transactions is to select the lines and click on submit. I will enter a description here, September 2020. The period is pre-populated according to the reference date or the recognition date, and I can click on create transaction and commit. So it's going to do that in the background. We're going to look at the transactions now. So you can see that it has created 4 lines for the debits and the credits, depending on each corresponding to each contract line, selecting the amount, the general ledger account, description, and so on. And these transactions then can be exported into a ERP such as FinancialForce Accounting. Simple as that. Now, onwards to the next example. Let me go to the projects. It's better from here. So I've set up a project for upgrade of IT infrastructure for Primatech. The project manager has decided that the project will be executed over 4 milestones. The milestones have been set up with the amounts, with the dates, and obviously the recognition template has also been defined there. Now, um, the project manager would be responsible after regular review to update the percentage of the milestones achieved. So if you look at one of these milestones, you can see that the project manager has estimated that this is 90% complete and also updated the percentages for each of these milestones. Furthermore, it has been agreed with the customer that the project's expenses incurred will also be billed and then recognized as they are incurred. So again, same process. The recognition would be, the process for recognition would be to go to recognize revenue interface. And here I would select the project as my source object. I would choose the date, for example, end of September, the currency, and I would click on generate data. So you can see that the components of the amount prompted for recognition are grouped by the project. So I can drill down by clicking on the plus icon. I can see that there were the milestones are being prompted for recognition based on this reference date. Because the 4th milestone begins in the 4th quarter, that's why it's not appearing altogether. But this expense was incurred in an earlier period or before the reference date, therefore it is being prompted for recognition. If I change the date to, for example, end of October, I can see all the 4 milestones and all the expenses incurred so far for this project. I can see the total revenue per milestone and per expense, and the amount being prompted for recognition. So the simple step is to select all the items or the lines, click on submit, provide a description, October 2020. As I mentioned, the period is pre-populated according to the reference date, and I would click create transaction and commit. Commit, by the way, is the terminology of revenue management package, which indicates that the transaction is confirmed or valid or posted or can be posted. So this is done in the background. We can go and look at that revenue recognition transaction. So this is the transaction created. And we can see the double entries behind it. Now, all of the setup that I've showed you before is either one time or can be automated with minimal customization. The month end process or period close processes take minutes, thereby reducing your end of period workload and making your life much easier. Uh, that's the end of my demo. If there is any question, please let me know. I hope I was able to give you a good idea how revenue management works. Um, if you have any um, questions on how this package could be used, please feel free to get in touch and we'll be happy to help. Thank you very much. Giving the screen back to Stan.
Thank you very much for the interesting webinar, Gibran. Are there any questions? You can leave them in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask a question. Please feel free to do it now. Well, I think in that case, that means that Gibran has done an excellent job of walking through the solution. I think that that is everything. Once again, thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Um, I hope that you found the topic of today's webinar very useful. And yes, hopefully, I look forward to seeing you all on the next webinar. And until then, stay safe and thank you again for joining.
Thank you. Bye bye.